So mistakes happen no matter how good you are. Mistakes can happen to anybody. They happen to pros, they happen to beginners. It's just a part of the sport. And I got to thinking, what skill do I have that saved my multiple times when I've made mistakes? And there's one skill that really stands out above the rest. Yo, friends and strangers alike, what's up? Welcome back. Thank you for making it this far. We as mountain bikers, when we progress, we want to build a skill set that helps us ride trails faster, ride more aggressively, ride bigger and more challenging features, and do all those things and make them look good. We want to look cool doing them. And those types of skills I'll refer to as like offensive skills. Those are the skills that we choose to do, that we make the active decision to go out and pursue. But there are skills that I think are equally as important, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about one specifically that I think is as important as any offensive skill, and it could be used offensively, but I think it has its greatest benefits as a defensive skill. And that's what we're going to get into today. Got to pick up a screw here. All right. Just spent 20 minutes hunting for a screw I rode past back there so it wouldn't end up in somebody's tire. Finally found it. Now I'm back up on my way. Oh God, too slow. Ugh. That, my friends, is where our story starts. So what am I talking about here? Well, now listen, I've not gotten my 2026 mountain bike glossary, keywords, definitions, handbook yet. So it may be called different things depending on where you're from, but I'm talking about pedal drops. And essentially what a pedal drop is a technique for riding off of a drop when you're going very slowly. And you are using your pedals to get the propulsion to propel you off of the drop or the edge of the rock or whatever, in a safe and quick manner so that your rear axle can clear the edge and you can ride it like a drop. So I know, listen up, okay, I get it, right? Pedal drops are not the sexiest skill to acquire. However, if I had to pay for skills, I definitely would invest in the pedal drop skill because it's far more sexy than the alternatives. And what are the alternatives? Okay, let's envision this. You're coming down a trail, okay, and you clip your pedal and it puts you offline or it slows you down. For whatever reason, you don't have the speed to ride off this drop safely. Now, this drop here we're using for demonstration purposes. You could probably roll this and be fine, especially if you're on a 29er. But with that being said, let's imagine that this is not rollable. So in this scenario, we can't stop in time before we clear the edge of this. So here's what I've seen pretty frequently. I've seen this, the old last minute pop where the front wheel drops, but the body pops up like this. And in every instance that happens, the front wheel does not increase in elevation. It drives them down and the rider goes over the bars. Not good, not sexy, not ideal. The other scenario that I see is this. Coming in too hot, put your feet down, drag the brakes, and do that dreaded top tube dance where you do that really intimate dance with your bike and your stem and your head tube right off the edge, and it always ends with you on your back. So the other scenario is this. You're coming in too hot to stop, but not hot enough to drop it like you typically know with your drop skills. So what you automatically do is you push back. And because you're going slow, you stall out when you push back, your front wheel drops and you do that dreaded backside rubber slide. Okay. And nothing will cause you to go over the bars quicker than when you stop your momentum with your butt cheeks and your back wheel. So what do we do in this instance where you have that oh shit moment where you're coming up and you're faced with a dilemma, okay? You're going too fast to stop, but you're not going fast enough to drop it like you know how. Well, that's where the pedal drop skill becomes super beneficial. So now that I sold you on why it's a skill worth having, let's talk about the skill itself. Now with the pedal drop, it only works if you are in a gear that allows you to to initiate the pedal drop. So the first thing you need to know is when you are descending on your bike, you always need to be aware of what gear you're in, whether you anticipate ever doing a pedal drop or not. You should always know what gear you are in, right? Because you could be faced with any different obstacle and you want to ride proactively rather than reactively. So by having an understanding or an idea of what gear you're in, you can quickly react. For me, I generally go in a gear that seems 1 or 2 heavier than I need to be in. The reason why this is important for the pedal drop is because we need to rely on the torque and the increased speed that we're going to get when we initiate the pedal stroke, right? If we are in a gear that just doesn't allow that, what will happen is we're going to free spin or we're going to quick spin, and we're going to do the pedaling aspect of the pedal drop, but it's not going to propel us forward like we need it to. So we need to make sure that we are in a gear that when we dig deep and we throw in those pedal strokes, it's actually going to drive us forward. Okay, so when you practice this skill, okay, no matter where you're practicing it, obviously you want to start somewhere small. You need to first understand what gear you're in. Best way to learn and get a feel for your needed gearing would be to start small with this technique. Take it to a curve, okay, and practice the feel for what speed you have coming in the pedal strokes that you make, what kind of torque and momentum and thrust that produces, right? When you start small, something that's rollable, okay, if you make mistakes, they're not catastrophic. Yo, all right, so now that you know the importance of understanding the gear that you're in and being in the right gear or the right range of gears, let's talk about the actual pedal stroke. We all can pedal a bike, right? But the pedal stroke is a little different than I think a lot of people would intuitively think for pedal drops, at least how I do it. So let's talk about that. All right, so when it comes to the pedal stroke, you need to determine what foot forward you typically ride with. So I am a right foot forward rider, and typically whenever you power into a stroke or power into your pedaling, it starts with that dominant foot, right? So if I was, say, at a starting line and I was getting ready to go, I would start with my right foot forward and take off. The problem with that is when you do that with the pedal drop, you get a very short thrust of momentum that stalls out very quickly because your pedal stroke goes from, on the clock, we'll call this the 3 o'clock position, down to the 6 o'clock, and you're stalled out. So what happens is you don't get the most out of your power leg. We'll call that your front foot forward, we'll call it your power leg or your power stroke. So to get the most out of that, we want to get a little bit of momentum into our power stroke. And to do that, we use actually our non-dominant foot. So let's check this out. So this time I'm going to come in and I'm just going to try to power off of it with just my power stroke, right? Just my front foot. Just gonna slam on the gas with my front foot and try to pedal off of it, and let's see what happens. So here we go, my dominant foot forward. I'm gonna try to power off of it, and it essentially just drives my front end straight down because I started with my dominant foot. I did not get the power I wanted. If anything, it powered me downward off of it. So how do I get the power that I need to come off of that? Well, what I have to do is I actually have to bring my non-dominant foot forward, and that actually starts the cycle, the pedal cycle. So I'm gonna point you down. Hopefully you can see my pedals okay. I try to talk through it too. Thankfully we're going slow here. So typically we're coming in with our dominant foot forward. As soon as you see an instance where you need the pedal drop, the first thing you need to do is pedal back and bring that non-dominant foot forward. We're gonna call the non-dominant foot the momentum stroke, and then we're gonna call our dominant foot the power stroke. So first we're gonna get our momentum stroke in with our non-dominant foot. What that'll do is it's gonna put our dominant foot in the perfect position to be the power stroke. So we're gonna gain momentum, then we're going to power off of it. Now I have to mention that this requires timing and gaining comfort and balance, right? Because what happens is when you use your left foot forward and you use that as your momentum stroke, if you're not used to doing that, what that can do is kind of throw you off balance with the bike a little bit, right? And you might curve off of the drop. You really want to practice this on small curbs or small little drops that if your front end drops, it's like, again, it's not going to cause a crash, right? Because you need to gain comfort in the imbalance of having that momentum stroke, your non-dominant foot forward, to drive that motion, to get your power stroke off of the edge. Here's the oh dang moment. So I'm gonna bring that momentum stroke and power stroke right off of it. And it powers me right off of it. And it doesn't drop my front end down because I had that momentum that fed into my power stroke, my typical stroke, okay? Let's look at it from the side. So this is real time. This isn't slow motion or anything. So I'm actually going to come up and try to do like a stop. I'm going to almost stop before coming off of this. And we'll see how well this technique works for like a complete stopped pedal drop, more of like a trials style pedal drop. Okay, here we go. We're slow. We're almost stopped. We are stopped. So you see how from pretty much a complete stop, I was able to pedal drop this without like a bunny hop motion or like a clear, aggressive pulling up on the bars or really utilizing my upper body to kind of hop off of it. Which brings me to the next point is, now that you know the footwork, let's talk about the body work. So to get the most out of our momentum stroke, this feeds into our power stroke, we need to keep our chin and our upper body and our shoulders forward. The power in our legs is going to drive our body mass off of the drop. The main issue that we have when we're playing with gravity and drops is our body mass. We want to get it beyond the edge of the drop before we hook up on it and go over the bars. To do that, again, we need to keep our shoulders and our chest forward. We need to keep our hips over the bottom bracket, because when we keep them forward, that power, the momentum stroke and the power stroke, the work that we did with our legs translates to our body mass, and it gets it over the edge of no return. So what you don't want to do, right, is push your bike forward or shift backward. What that'll do is it'll stall you out. So all of your momentum stroke and your power stroke will drive the bike forward. But when you push the bike forward too, you're anchoring your body mass a little bit to the rock, okay? You don't want to do that, because what that'll do is it'll actually stall you out. Remember, you want to stay strong and stay high and forward with the upper body. So let's see what the results are with the momentum and the power stroke when our body is just not driving forward with the bike. So you see in that comparison, a couple things are happening, and that is my body shifting back kind of kills the momentum of the strokes that I'm using with my pedaling. Additionally, I don't get the same amount of power out of my power stroke when my hips are so far behind the bottom bracket. It's not pushing me off, it's kind of pulling me off. And pushing my body mass off of a drop or off of the edge at a slow speed is way more efficient than pulling it off. So when you practice this, it doesn't matter how small of a ledge or a little drop or a curb that you practice this on, you want to be mindful that your body mass needs to stay forward, okay? And really be analytical about what your upper body is doing. There are all sorts of scenarios where there are rocks and edges and ledges and things that can hook up on your chain ring, which will just stop you in your tracks again and likely cause you to go over the bar. So the pedal drop is a great way to just clear the edge, not even worry about, can I roll this? Am I going to hang up on my chain ring? And it's kind of fun. Once you get it down, you feel like that you are manipulating gravity, like you're Spider-Man or something. Get out there, practice it. I appreciate you guys who support me. It really means a ton. I'll keep doing this. Got so much information to share. I can't wait for the spring. We got this. Peace.